Hello, welcome to the last week of English 131 in the summer semester of 2020. Uh, we are wrapping up our work for the week. You've hopefully done the reading for the week, and you've hopefully done the writing for the week and participated in the boards, and now you're just putting the finished revisions on your writing number 4 for the class. So now I want to talk a little bit about the end of the class, a couple of things for you to consider as you begin to turn in your final work, and kind of the purpose of what we've been doing here. Let's go into a PowerPoint, because I know you really wanted to see another PowerPoint. So let's go into PowerPoint, and I will talk through some stuff with you. So our course theme this semester has been on protest, and we've been thinking about why people protest and what protest is, and why it's meaningful, and also think about issues of social justice that might bring about protest. The topic for today's talk is protest, integrity, and writing with power. So let's think about that a little bit. Not only why we've talked about protests, but also about what it means to write with power and what it means to write with integrity. So before we get much further into that topic, I want to talk a little bit about what it is that English 131 students do, or what they can do, or what they should be doing by the end of the course. This is an academic course, and in fact, it is what is called one of those gateway courses, where you have to walk through the gateway to get to the rest of the institution. It is a course you usually take in your first semester or your first couple semesters of college. It's a course that you have to take in order to be able to take many, many other courses. It's what's called a prereq. And it's also a standard course across the nation that most students have to take when they start their college careers, because English 131 sets you up with some fundamental expectations, not only for your academic work, but for what you can do as a student or what you shouldn't be able to do as a student. So let's talk a little bit about what English 131 students do. English 131 students read and write with an awareness of the rhetorical situation. That is, they are aware of an audience, they're aware of different kinds of audiences, they're aware of context, and they're aware of what was required in different kinds of contexts. They're aware of themselves as an author and what authors do. And they also start to build a deeper sense of rhetoric when they start to understand how we persuade each other through our own ethos or pathos or logos appeals, or how those things play a role in what they read. You've done this. We've covered this material. You may have had some awareness of it before you came into English 131. Maybe somebody had talked to you about it before, or maybe you have a natural awareness, but this course has asked you to focus on those things and asked you to really work on some of those things so you can develop your skills. We've also asked you to develop skills in meeting academic writing tasks, to be able to write for college, to be able to read an assignment, to understand what an assignment's asking you to do, to be able to meet the demands of an assignment, to understand what academic writing is and how it functions. And we've done those things too. You've done many readings about that. You've done lots of writing assignments. The course has helped you, hopefully, develop your academic writing skills so that you can move from this course into other courses and write with some academic success. English 131 also asks you to understand how others' ideas impact your own. This is the starting of research, learning how to do academic research. That you can read somebody else's writing and you understand how it impacts you, and you understand how it might be useful for you as you go to do your own writing. You understand that others' ideas matter, and others' ideas help you build your own world when you look at those ideas with the respect that they are due. And hopefully that your own ideas impact others' ideas. English 131 helps you develop a sense of your own power, hopefully, that you begin to realize that writing is a power, It's not, the power of flight or the power of heat vision, but it is a power that enables you to go out and affect other people. That effect that you may have maybe in your professional career. If you're a culinary arts, you may say, well, why do I have to take writing in the first place? But being able to think about the rhetorical situation, being able to think about audience and context and power, those things help you build your own power within that situation. And hopefully, English 131 helps you recognize the social responsibility of others and to others. That you recognize we live in a society where we affect each other, and we can use writing to help that happen more clearly. This one is more of my own concern with teaching 131 and what I try to get students to do. And ultimately, when we do this, when we think about your responsibility to other people and others' responsibilities to you and how those two things work together, we are thinking rhetorically, and we're thinking politically, and we're thinking socially. Now, there's an awful lot of talk. There's always an awful lot of talk by some commentators who worry that colleges are just trying to make everybody into liberals or Democrats. I don't buy into that. I don't really care what your politics are. I mean, hopefully your politics align with mine, and we can go forward and move the world, change the world in the way we both see possible. But ultimately, if they're not, I think you have a right to have your own voice. You have a right to have your own power, and you have the right to try to persuade me to change my own politics, just like I have the right to persuade you to change yours. That's responsibility for each other. Finally, English 131 students can write and research with academic integrity. That means you understand that what we're doing here is something more than just writing for a grade or writing because a teacher told you or writing because your parents made you go to school. You understand that writing and researching requires academic integrity, that you do it well and you do it carefully and you do it with honesty. That's what English 131 students do. Hopefully we're doing that. This last one I included, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about it because I'm not sure that everybody is. In fact, our class is smaller today than it has been through much of the semester. We've lost a few people, and we've lost a few people due to a lack of academic integrity. I've had some people who have turned in writing that was not their own, or that was only partially their own, and they've no longer decided to continue on this class in this class with that act. In fact, I've got some other people that I'm starting to ask questions about and ask about their academic integrity. And this is not because I'm going out and trying to nail everybody. It shouldn't be about that at all. I shouldn't have to be thinking about it at all. English 131 is about academic integrity because the act of cheating destroys much of what we try to do in college. If you go and buy a paper, or you go and copy and paste information from Wikipedia into your paper, or you go and take your aunt's paper that she wrote 3 years ago in English 131 and try to use it in this class, or you go and you find a paper somewhere online and you just put your name on it, whatever it is that you do that's not your own writing, if you hand your paper to somebody else and they heavily edit it to the point where it's no longer your paper, you have cheated. And cheating sucks. Cheaters suck. Here's why. Cheaters destroy our trust. They destroy our trust in each other. If you cheat, then I no longer trust you. If you cheat and I don't catch you, you no longer really trust me and my authority. They also destroy our trust in our fellow citizens. How do we know they're not cheating? How do we know that the person sitting next to you is being honest? And if they're not being honest, why should you be honest? And it starts to disrupt the whole sense of trust. Cheaters also disrupt academics. The very fact that I've got to spend time right now talking to you about cheating means that your academics have been disrupted. The very fact that when you're writing your paper, you have to be so careful to make sure you cite everything so that nobody accuses you of cheating means that cheaters have disrupted your academics. The very fact that we've got parts of textbooks and parts of syllabi and parts of college policies, and they're all about cheating, means that we are being disrupted. We spend too much time thinking about cheating because people keep on doing it. And maybe they keep on doing it because we don't talk about enough about this. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to come together and just read each other's writing, knowing that each other is doing the writing? Because ultimately cheaters devolve meaning. They break down what meaning is possible. If you write something and you turn it in, and I read it and I say, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Oh, I'd never thought of that before. That's what power is. That's what writing is about. But if you write something and I read it and I say, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Wait a minute. Did this person write this? And then I go and compare your writing to other people, or I go and look for your writing in other places, and I find out that your writing is not your writing. We no longer have anything meaningful there. All we have is cheating. And cheating devolves our meaning in other places too. I mean, just think about our current common discourse about who's an authority and who's not, and who we can trust and who we can't, and who lies and who doesn't. We are spending so much time trying to figure out what's meaningful because cheaters have messed it up. Maybe most offensive for me as a writing teacher is that cheaters deny rhetoric. They deny it matters. They don't care about ethos and pathos and logos. They don't care about whether or not you care about their ideas. They don't even care about their ideas. What they care about is getting through this one task and getting this grade and hopefully not getting caught. But if they get caught, oh well, they'll just take it again, because that teacher, there's no way that teacher will fail them for cheating. Cheaters deny rhetoric. They're so cynical about the act of creating meaning and doing it persuasively that they just pick something up, or they buy something, or somebody writes something for them, and they don't care. That's pretty offensive. I'm spending time talking about this because I do believe we do something meaningful when we take English 131. When you are writing that book review to try to say something meaningful about your experience of reading that book, I think we're doing human work. It matters. This image on your screen comes from Cueva de los Manos, Rio Punteros. My Spanish is horrible. And my daughter actually teaches Spanish, and she will tell you it's horrible. So I'm sorry for slaughtering it there, but this is a cave that was found in Central America a few years ago. And within that cave, there were cave paintings. And these cave paintings have been dated to go back to about circa 1000 BC, which is 3,000 years ago, before literate cultures, before writing and reading were things that we did as humans. You had people in caves who were representing their experience. And it has meaning. Has power. 3,000 years later, it matters that somebody did this. Looking at this image and thinking of all those people in that cave representing their existence. We were here. We mattered. We were together. That's really a powerful image. If it's real. I mean, how do you know it's real? Maybe somebody in the 70s went there and they had a bong party and they just decided, hey, let's put our hands on the wall. Wouldn't that be cool? Or maybe the people who found it didn't really find it. They just sort of made it up and said it was not real. What we create has power when we can trust that we've created it. What we create has power when we are sincere and authentic in what we're creating. I want to tell you a little story. You may have heard this story before. I didn't make up this story. I'll cite my sources. It was a guy named Plato. And here's the story. There's a bunch of people sitting in a cave. They are locked in chains. They are watching a wall. They don't know anything. They were born in that cave. They will die in that cave. They will never see anything other than the wall. That is their life. That is their experience. That is their knowledge of the world. Now, on that wall, there are shadows to keep them entertained. They see things popping across them, and maybe they turn to each other and they say, "What was that? Oh, what should we call that? What is that thing that is walking on those four legs with that long thing behind it? How do we know those are legs?" Maybe they talk about this stuff together and they try to figure it out, but they really all they're seeing is shadows. They're not actually seeing anything real. Now, they don't know where these shadows come from. And one idea is maybe that there are people walking behind them making shadows on the wall. Maybe they've begun to see that that's how a shadow happens. Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's just that there are shadows being cast down from somewhere else on them. Depending on how we want to tell this story, what meaning we want to get out of it, we might emphasize one of those origins. Let's just say Frank, the guy sitting over here on the left, decides he's tired of this. And he somehow gets out of his chains and he stands up and he turns around. He looks behind. And from behind, he sees something amazing, a light coming down, something that is a different color than just shadows. He sees something that is scary but intriguing, and he wants to know what it is. We'll ignore the guys behind the wall for now. And so he stands up and he starts to walk up the path through the cave. And he gets outside and he sees this whole vast, vibrant, amazing world with colors and wind and rain and sun and darkness and animals, and it smells. It is real. He picks up a piece of fruit and he tastes it, and it's never tasted anything like that before in his life. It is this amazing space that is so much more vibrant and actual and authentic than what he has seen on that wall. And Frank could just from that point walk out and just keep on experiencing things and never turn back. But Frank cares about those people that were sitting beside him for all those years watching the wall. And so he turns around and he walks back in and he says, "Guys, you'll never believe what I saw." And he starts to tell us. And maybe some of us listen, maybe some of us don't, but he starts to tell us and he starts to persuade us to believe what he's experienced. He starts to persuade us to believe what he's figured out. And some of us actually follow him outside of the cave and we experience it ourselves. And we come back and try to persuade others. What Plato was talking about in the cave was this sense of understanding reality, but also this responsibility we have to each other to tell others of the reality. And only some people get to do it. Only some people get to have that experience. Only some people recognize that what they're experiencing is just shadows on the wall and that there's a whole new reality behind them if only they would stand up and turn around. We can think of English 131 as being this experience. And in this case, I'm Frank, and I'm coming in and I'm telling you about all that cool stuff that happens out there. And I'm saying, you got to come out and see it. You got to experience it. And through the course of 131 is you deciding to stand up and walk outside the cave and experiencing something new. And maybe, just maybe, building the ability to go back and tell others about what you saw out there. To move forward into your next classes, to move forward into your career, to move forward into the world and have an effect with the power of your voice because you stood up and you walked out of the cave. That's Plato's allegory of the cave. Now, some of the people that walk out may decide to come back and try to control others, but we can always walk past those people who are holding the sticks and try to persuade the people. This is what writers do. Writers look at the world around them and they realize there's something not quite right here. I'm going to go find out new ideas. And they go out and find new ideas, and they bring those ideas back to people that they were originally, the people they were originally with, and they try to persuade them. They find a way to write their way out of the cave and into a new reality. I'm going to play a little bit of a song here. My audio visual ability with that's Wrote My Way Out by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote the musical Hamilton, and Dave East, I forget what Block's first name is, and Nas shows up in the song as well. So it's a really beautiful song. And I love it, of course, because I'm a writing teacher, and he talks about writing his way out. But what it really talks about is how Miranda and the people who are singing with him, how they found their way out of their situation and into a new situation, how they wrote their way out of a cave. So this whole idea of social responsibility is important, and going back and telling people in the cave is important, but maybe part of English 131, maybe part of college, maybe part of finding your voice is also saving yourself from the cave, making your voice authentic and real, to recognize your power, that you can stand up from a situation and you can write your way out of it. Which is, of course, what protest is all about. Protest is about saying, my voice matters. You will listen to me. I am real. I am standing here. I am right in front of you, and you will listen. There's something real about that. I'm going to go to the next slide. I gave you a hint of it a second ago and then had to back out. Just a warning, there is a naked body in this slide. You only see the back of it. You don't see any, even the butt, but you do see the back side of a naked body. So if that bothers you, I'm not trying to bother you. I'm not trying to be risque, but it's there. Here we go. This photo comes from protests in Portland, Oregon, where the protesters were protesting in the streets, and the police are there. And Portland, Oregon, of course, is in the news right now because federal agents have been taking people off the streets because within unmarked vans, going up and grabbing people and taking them to undisclosed locations. The protests there have been sometimes angry and sometimes damaging, but on both sides, although the protests have been, from what I understand, mostly peaceful on the part of the protesters. This photo was taken on July 19th, and in the middle of a protest where these police officers were blocking a road so the protesters couldn't go, where they were threatening those protesters with more abuse, with more arrests, a woman walked out of the protests naked. Just she, herself, and her body. And she walked out into the middle of the street right in front of this massive police force, and she started pointing at them and staring them down and telling them to come and get her. And then she started doing yoga, and then she took this pose, inviting them to come and get her. And do you know what the police did? They turned around and they left. I don't know if they were scared of the body. I don't know if they were scared that if they moved against her, that people would criticize them. I don't know if it was just too weird of a situation and they didn't know what to do. But this woman stopped that police action by standing up, walking out of the cave, and showing them a new reality. I love talking about protest because there's something that is authentic about a protester. Not protesters who aren't really genuinely, don't really care about what they're protesting, but those that do, who are in the moment and are expressing their voice, their democratic voice of dissent, and they are saying, this is enough. There's something authentic, something real, something that matters going on there. And I think writing is the same way. You can have writing that is not authentic or writing that does not have power, but when you are actually engaged in the act of meaningful writing, you are doing something real. Both protest and writing depend on visionary creators who can bear their ideas and their voices and their selves to try to change the world. And there's something so human and so beautiful about that. Okay. What's next? Well, you turn in your writing number 4. Workshop for writing number 4 should be ending right now. So start in revision and then start to get that paper where you want it to be and then turn it in. You turn in your week 7 notes. You finish up any other discussions that you need to do, or if you have other work that you need to do for the class and you need to get in, contact me. After this class, you register for English 132 or English 135. Just a couple of notes about those. That's the Comp 2 course. Not everybody has to take Comp 2. It really depends on your program, but I highly recommend it. English 132 is academic research and writing, where you learn more about how to find the sources you need, how to use the sources you need, and how to do academic research in a meaningful way that allows you to progress your arguments. And English 135 is business and technical writing, where you learn about how to write within a confined context or for a specific purpose within the business and technical fields, and you learn how to do the research you need to do in order to be able to write in those fields. Both are great classes. Most people take English 132, but English 135 is also a great course, so I highly recommend them both. And you'll learn a lot out of them. One more thing about English 132. English 132 often asks you to do a bit more reading, a bit more focus on reading literary or social texts and then writing about those. You've had some experience with that in this class. So that's your next course. You might also want to consider if you have enjoyed this class, or more particular, if you've enjoyed the more philosophical elements of this course. I'm going to be teaching Philosophy 130, Section 2, in the fall. It will be a course much like the one we've had, although we'll have much more time for it, and we'll be talking about what philosophy is. It's the Introduction to Philosophy course. I'm really looking forward to teaching this. I would love to see you there, have you join me as we begin to explore what is philosophy, why do we do it, and how do we do it, by looking at a whole bunch of different philosophical texts. Those are the business things to think about. I would also encourage you to read powerfully. You got some time for the next semester? Do some reading. Read interesting things. Read powerful things. Or read really bad things and think about them in powerful ways. And then write powerfully. Keep writing. Keep developing your voice. Keep thinking about what it means to be a citizen of this world who has a voice that you can use. Keep thinking about how you can go back into the cave and help others find their way out. Thanks for being a great class. Thanks for all the work you've done, for sharing with each other, for helping us think about what it means to write together. I appreciate your work. I appreciate your efforts and your ideas. I appreciate you. Thanks for being a great class. See you in the fall.